Hello everyone and welcome to Terrier TV. I'm Peter Cabranes and I'm sitting down with Dr. Augusta Palmer, a distinguished professor here at SFC. She's here to discuss her latest film, The Blues Society. How's it going, Dr. Palmer?
Very well. How are you, Peter?
I'm good. And so we're here to talk about her film and what it's about. So I'm going to get right into it. What exactly is your film focusing on? What is it about?
So my film is about a series of blues festivals that took place in Memphis, Tennessee between 1966 and 1969. Every year during that period they held these festivals. And they really went from something totally on a shoestring, $60 and a ball of hash. They started the first festival. And the festivals were started to celebrate African-American bluesmen like Furry Lewis and Booker White, and during this time also they were kind of finding more bluesmen who had recorded earlier and maybe people didn't even know where they were. They had a wonderful man named Nathan Beauregard who was over 100 years old when he first played the first blues festival. Wow. And so they just kind of said, let's put on a show, and they did. And pretty radical because in 1966, in the same venue, this public park band shell, a week before the first blues festival, there was a KKK rally.
Oh my God. Wow.
Thankfully, the blues festival was better attended than the KKK rally.
One would hope.
Which I'm very happy to know. And but that gives you an idea of how kind of radical it was to be celebrating African American culture in Memphis during this time period.
So I guess that it kind of answers my next question, but specifically why this festival when there's been so many? I mean, you could have done another movie, film about, any other festival like, South by Southwest from modern times or whatnot, but why specifically this one?
Well, the first answer is incredibly simple, which is that my father was one of the organizers of this festival.
Oh, wow.
And so he's died in 1997, quite a while ago. But some of his friends had been talking to me about the festival. So, I wanted to kind of honor the memory of that and of all those people working together. Because it was a really this kind of loose-knit bohemian group that worked together of artists and musicians and different people. This guy named John McIntyre did these amazing psychedelic posters, and also told me a great story about coming by the table where they were collecting money for tickets. I think it was $1 for a ticket. And there were just all these dollars coming out of a box, and he grabbed the box and got it to somebody who could take care of it. So that was kind of the organizational scheme of the festival. So that kind of fascinates me, and yet despite that kind of disorganization or this kind of crazy bohemian quality of a lot of the people involved, by 1969 they had a TV crew from WNET. New York's PBS station, filming the concert, and it was aired nationally with this show hosted by Steve Allen, who's can white people play the blues? And that's the other thing that's kind of fascinating is that, it's these old bluesmen playing, but also there are a bunch of kind of counterculture people inspired by blues who also play sometimes alongside them or backing them, supporting them, and sometimes on their own. So that's how I really got involved with it. But I think the more I thought about it, the more interested I was because it's this kind of incredible period of upheaval,
Definitely.
that and it really changed the way the city of Memphis thought about the blues, thinking about it as just this kind of thing they wanted to shunt away and not pay attention to something that was a resource for them. So by the last festival, the city of Memphis got very involved in the festival too. And then, this national coverage on TV got the word out to lots of people. And both before and after the festival, there were pieces in Rolling Stone. So people came from New York City. I actually am going to interview a woman soon who is a native of Forest Hills who went down to the festival.
That's really nice.
People came from Philadelphia. There's a great writer, Peter Cabranes, who wrote Sweet Soul Music, one of the best books about soul music, and has also written books about Elvis and about Sam Phillips, who ran Sun Studios and sort of discovered Elvis and people like that. So Peter Cabranes has made a career writing about Memphis music, and when someone asked him, well, how'd you get started on this, 30-year career that you've had of talking about Memphis music, he was like, well, I went to the 1969 Memphis Country Blues Festival. So, the more I found out, the more I found all these sort of different tentacles extending into popular culture from this festival, which seems like, the greatest concert you never heard of. I mean, it's
Definitely.
kind of,
Yeah. So what would probably be an experience or story that someone's probably told you so far through this process that has shocked you or amazed you in any way?
I've just been amazed at how moved people have been to remember this. I mean, it's 50 years ago, so it's a long time ago.
It's a part of their
and
lives
yet,
now. Yeah.
Actually, it's funny. I was talking to someone this morning who was kind of like, I don't know if I have that much to tell you. I was there, but I wasn't part of something like really important, or, and I was saying to her, like, I really want to know the texture of the times as much as I want to know, events. Because first of all, if you're doing something that involves a lot of psychedelics and and great music and stuff like that, like the memories may not be like names, dates, strictly factual. But anyway, I was talking to her and she was just telling me like the wonder of spending a night with Furry Lewis, this blues musician. So, and she said, well, I hope when I see you that your questions for me will be like a time machine and they'll take me back and I'll also suddenly be like, 50 years younger. And I was like, well, I'll work on that. I can work on that. But I mean, in a way, what's interesting is that's already happened when I interview people, that somehow like a whole bunch of the rest of their life gets stripped away. And even though I'm sitting there with someone who's 60 or 70, I feel like I'm talking to a 20-year-old because they are opening up that
just
part
all
of themselves
comes right
again.
back out. It's beautiful, I could imagine.
Yeah, and it's really like, I mean, it's almost, because there are people like Peter Cabranes who said, totally changed my life. I went to this festival and then that started my whole career writing about Memphis music. But I feel like I've actually talked to multiple people now. I've said, it changed my life.
Yeah.
Just like totally seriously. Like it just, there's a great blues musician, Kenny Brown, that I interviewed, and he had been studying blues guitar, but I think he didn't think of that as like a career option. And he went to this festival and he was like, okay, I think I'm going to be a blues musician. Even though I'm a white guy, I'm going to be a blues musician and I'm just going to go with it. And he is a very well-known blues musician and actually has his own blues festival now in Mississippi that I went down to earlier this year. So, I think that it's just that life-changing moment, and more than one person has actually like started to tear up or cried when I've been interviewing them.
Right.
Not really out of sadness, but just out of like kind of amazement that all these things came together at this particular time. It's a kind of magic.
I really can't wait to actually watch this. And is there any way for us to help out with the funding or anything like this? I really can't wait to be touched by these stories because, I mean, music is very near and dear to me, and blues as well. So is there any way anybody can help out?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an Indiegogo campaign right now. It's up until Sunday at 11:59 p.m. So just a little time left. And we're trying to raise money to edit the 22 interviews we already have and to shoot a few last interviews. So it would be such a huge help if people could donate. And even if you can only donate $1 or $5.
It all
I just
matters,
want to see all the money. It matters in terms of the money, but it also really matters to show that there's an audience of people who are interested in hearing this story.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of people that are definitely waiting to hear these stories. Music is, like I said, near and dear to most people. So we're going to be putting that link for you down in the description box, so don't worry. I'm sure people will click on it and help you out. But it's been an honor to sit down with you, and I can't wait to actually see the movie. I'm Peter Cabranes, and I really am, again, humbled to have sat down with Dr. Palmer, and this has been Terrier TV. We'll see you guys very soon.